Hello everyone, it's Professor Hastings again, and I want to welcome you to an Ideate with Me session. And we're going to be ideating and sketching a couple of mobile application ideas. And I just wanted to start off by showing my initial idea notes in my sketchbook. And as you can see, I keep a sketchbook of ideas with me at all times. I happen to like this particular notebook. It is Fabriano Eco Qua, and it's A4 size, which I love. I often joke that I am an A4 girl living in a US letter world. But I like the grid, and I like the A4 size of this, and I go through several a year. So for this exercise, I've just come up with two fictitious app ideas. They're completely fictitious. I'm just playing around with ideas, and I've just made some preliminary notes here. The first one is an idea for an app about kindness called Too Kind. And I've done some research, some light research on what kindness apps are already out there. And they really are around acts of kindness, which I think is wonderful. And I think I would like my app to have functional apps, acts of kindness as part of it. But I'm also really, really interested in learning about my unkind acts, my unkind thoughts, those sorts of things. It's one thing to do wonderful acts of kindness, and another thing to then continue to judge people, compare people, analyze people, etc. So that's what I'm thinking about that one. But the one that I'm going to sketch out a little bit with you today is another idea that has kind of grown out of the things that I'm seeing currently with our worldwide pandemic. And that is something I'm calling the Generosity Bank. And this would be an app, actually a financial app, for community emergency funds. And this could be a community neighborhood, it could be creative communities. I'm seeing, loss of work for so many different people, loss of income, different issues. And I'm also seeing people rally around those groups in supporting each other and helping each other get through. And I thought, well, what if we had something like this all the time instead of just when an emergency arises, but something that's always there, that we're working communally to support each other at all times. So I came up with this idea. This is totally fictitious. I'm playing around with it just so I can show you guys sketching and ideation in terms of mobile application design, user experience, and UX. So for the Generosity Bank, I thought, well, you could have a neighborhood group. It could be a creative group of people, maybe say a bunch of artists, photographers, etc. It could be a family group. And it would be sort of like Patreon or some of those other monthly contribution organizations, although this would be specifically for an account that could be used for emergency purposes for one or more of the people in the community. If there's not an emergency, let's say it was somebody wanted some additional training that would help them bring in more income or bring more opportunities to them, then they could submit a request for funds from the community account, and then the community could look at their application and determine what, if any, funds could be distributed for that person's investment. So, as thinking through, playing around with these, we could figure it's anonymous, how much I contribute per month. Let's say I can afford $5 a month to go into the account. Someone else may be able to afford much more than that. I might reach a point where I can afford more than that, and I increase that amount. There would be at least 3 people that would be the managers of this group account, and clearly these are people that would have to be very, very close and have specific agreements. So there would be 2 key important pieces of the app that would probably tie into website and database, and that would be formal agreements among the group about how they wish to operate. Also a clear guideline section on ethics and integrity, and also a legal section that would apply to, to banking, joint accounts, things like that. There would also be determination for investments. So if the money was going to be partially in a money market account, partially in an index fund, or some other investment product. So some of the other things I was thinking about, having 3 people manage the account would keep it from being on, one person specifically. The community would look at the applications and then vote anonymously. So, people could submit revisions or resubmit, and then the managers give the final approval and distribution of funds. So those are, and I also thought, if there were difficulties that arose within the group, there could be links to information about mediation and perhaps even mediators, access to mediators. So that's what I'm playing around with, purely fictitious. So with that in mind, I did a little time lapse of the sketching of these thumbnails. This is the thumbnail size of the wireframes that I've shown in other videos, and in other posts and things. And I just sketched this out really quickly, recorded it on time-lapse, and you're going to either see it at the end or the beginning or the middle of this video. I haven't decided where, because I'm just shooting it now. And you can see I've just sketched out loosely some of the ideas for different sections of the application. So I've got the group page. So these would be, the name of the group and then all of the members within that group. And then you could link off and find out more on each of the members' profiles. And then this piece would be, first you would select and agree upon the agreements. And then this agreements of how this fund would operate would always be within the app. So I've got like this little section here for legal, mediation, agreements, all of the formal aspects of the group bank account. And then here's the legal section. And then here's a personal profile. So this would have information that's relevant to the group about each person. And then in each personal section, you would have a button that would say apply in case you needed funds, and that would take you to a funding application. You would fill out the funding application. It would have specifics about what the funds are needed for, what your specific income is and the income issues, or if it's something that you're wanting to support or have supported, like training, something like that, the funding application would capture all of that information. Once you hit submit for your funding application, then that information would go to all members of the group. They would get an alert on their phone that an application had been submitted, and then each member would go in and look through the application, approve, deny, and leave notes or ask further questions if there's some information that's needed for them to, just in talking about this, I'm like, there needs to be another, not just approve or deny, but one that I'm just going to put hold for now because I'm not thinking of the right word, but another screen, a third option that is, needs more information, or I'm not ready to make a decision on this until I know something else, right? So see how in just talking about this out loud and working through these things, the ideas continue to come, the information continues to come. Then detailed research could back up and give more information, but we're not at the detailed research phase. We're just doing ideation. We're just going with what we know now. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use the full size. As you can see with the thumbnails, I haven't used any straight edges. I have just quickly sketched these out. Now, I did use pencil first and got all of my shapes and ideas, rough ideas, into place with pencil. And then I went over it with the pen that I showed in the tools section, just the Uniball Signa. And then I erased the pencil lines because it just neatens and tidies things up. And one of the reasons that I advocate for paper, and many people advocate for paper first, is that you don't have to have electricity. You don't have to spend time learning or working in software. You don't have to invest a lot of energy in getting all of the things just right and in the exact place. And having worked with many, many clients over the decades, when you show them something in this form, it's a conversation. They are much less likely to get caught up in details. They don't like this blue, or this shouldn't say this, it should say, they don't get caught up in the minutia because it looks unfinished, it looks incomplete, it looks like this is something, these are ideas we're going to have conversations about. So let me get started here. I'm just going to show you how I would sketch out the group page here on the full size wireframe. And I'm going to bring in these handy dandies, the templates that I showed you in the tools video. And I've got a link to where you can get them on Amazon if you're interested in that. And I'm going to use them for straight edges too. I didn't use that in this, but I want these to be really neat because I am going to show these to clients. I mean, if it wasn't fictitious. And I'm going to use mechanical pencil for this purpose. And one of the reasons that I'm going to use a mechanical pencil is because it's very sharp and can get inside of these little stencils really easily. I also don't have to stop and sharpen, and I don't have to erase. So my fictitious nav, sort of first idea nav right now is that there would be a home section right here. This would always take you back to a dashboard. And here's a little house over here. I'm going to use this one. So this would take you back to the dashboard. And as you can see, these are sharp little stencils. So to save myself a little bit of time, I would draw all of these at once. Now I'm going to go back, because I like to do this, I'm going to go back and fill these in with black pen once I'm finished with the drawing everything into place. Now the next is for the individual profile. So I'm going to just grab this little person head right here. And as you can see, I'm not worrying about being incredibly accurate. You know, and actually if I wanted to do, you know, fill them in like this, I could fill them in like this. So grab my little person here, and you can see that I'm doing three at a time, so I don't have to go back and do the nav bar each time. But I'm going to stop with doing it across all three. I would actually do all of the common parts across all of the different wireframes that I'm doing. That's what I would do first, the hamburger, menu, whatever I've got going on. And then I've got the community or group, and I'm just going to grab this one. You know, real icons, what we wanted to use for the app would come out of the design stages further down the line. This is just to get the basic ideas out on paper. And I'm going to use a little folder here, folder icon here. And that's for all of the legal agreements, and then, or all of the agreements and all of the applications, all of the documents relevant to the group. And then maybe this is the legal mediation, and I'm just making it like a little badge or something. So I'm just gonna shade these in so they look a little similar. Okay, so now I need my little hamburger menu, and I'm just going to go up here with this one. And truthfully, I don't know at this point whether it would be on the right or the left, where it would actually be within the app, but we're going to put it up on the right for now. Now for the group profile, we would allow for some image to represent the group. You know, it could be, you know, a picture of all of them, or it could be whatever the group wanted to have as their image. Now in sketching and ideation, we basically indicate a picture by drawing an X through a rectangle, a circle. You can see where I've done it lightly there, right? So this would be some image representing the group. And then we would have the group's name underneath. I'm going to give this I'm going to sketch in a real name for this group. And it's a group that I belong to, that's titled after a Beatles song. So this is the Hey Jude group. Now, as you can see, I've got all of the members listed in this group, and I want to show a little tiny picture, and then some information that goes off of that. Here we go, there we go. All right, so I need a nice circle, my circle stencil. So I'm going to just kind of match these up. Again, I'm not being too particular about where I place this. I just want to get it roughed out. And the great thing about grids is that you can line these things up right on the grid. You can see I'm doing it, and I'm doing it quick. It's not going to be perfect, but you can see I'm just lining this up like a bullseye in the center. And we have 11 members in my Hey Jude group. And then to indicate that there is a scroll when you're sketching, like the page keeps going, you usually put in, and I'm going to use my regular pencil for this, a curve like this. And that indicates that the page continues, that this is a flow. So each of these circles is a profile picture that the group member has selected. And then I'm going to use this. So this would be just the key information that we need about each of our group members. Then if you click on it, it would take you to the group members' full page. Now, in most cases, these would be people that you know. In order to, operate a really functional generosity bank, you would have to have pretty good communication. And I'm going to honor this curve right here to show. You see how I didn't draw it underneath? So it indicates that it keeps going. You would have to have very good communication between all members of an organization like this. And then squiggly lines like this can indicate type, or lines like this. Squiggly lines usually indicate a headline type or a larger size type, and I'm just going to go with the straight lines for this, because I'm not even really sure, other than name, what other key information we would want to have about our members. There, and you can see I'm going really fast. I'm not even using a straight edge for those lines. And this is the trick of doing straight-ish lines. You go fast. If you go slow, it's going to be harder to keep that line straight, right? Whereas if you go fast, it comes out much, much straighter. So that's basically the initial setup for a wireframe. We've got all of the basic elements of our group page, and then we would make notes down here so we wouldn't forget. So this is group members, links off to individual profiles, and any other key information that we would want there. Now, the next wireframe I might do next to it would be maybe an individual profile page, and really think through what information would need to be there for us to see and for it to function properly within this banking application, community banking application. So that's in a nutshell. So what I would do next is probably clean this up a bit. Let's say I've got a client interview and I want to show them these and have a discussion or conversation around them. Then I'm going to go back in and take a black pen, or in the case of maybe something different, I'll show you what a micron looks like. This is the G2 here, and I'm just going to go in with the micron. I did a nice, good, dark job on this. But I really do want to do, you know, sort of like, I'm going to pretend like we've got a group shot that we've taken. And I'm just going to sketch in, you know, the members of the group. It could be, let's say it's a bunch of artists. It could be a paint palette. You know, it could be, you know, cameras for photographers. It could be whatever image people wanted for that. And then I'm just gonna rough these in with the micron. I could make them super straight with this. And I'm trying to make sure that I use pretty much all of the tools I showed you in the tool video so that you can see how they work and how handy they are. Oh, and then this last one. To indicate even more clearly that this is a page that scrolls, I'm going to actually make this a dotted line. And that will make sense in a second. I'm also going to put a little head in here. This is a 0.02 micron, not the thinnest. They go way thicker than this. Okay, so now I can fill in my little house here. And this is a chance for me to also neaten up anything that's messy. And these would probably not be the actual icons anyway. We would design a set just for our branding for the app. But they will do for now. It's enough to have a conversation about, to converse. And then I'm going to go ahead and outline this. And as you can see, I'm not worried about being exact. These are just sketches and drawings. Just to get the ideas out on paper. And then to tidy this up some. Oop, I can see I forgot to fill out my circle here. I'm sure we will discover other things. Oh, yeah, like the hamburger menu. And then I just quickly erase the pencil markings, and you will see that that really tidies things up. Okay, so thumbnails, full size. And then once I get all of these full-size sketched out, I'm going to show you how to use some of the industry standard applications to do a quick and dirty paper prototype on your phone.